basically what I do is I get on this pretty awesome boat and put a bunch of traps in the water to catch lobsters. And it's really hard work, and sometimes you make good money and sometimes you struggle, but you do it because it's a love of being on the water in that setting, and you can't really describe what that feeling is until someone actually goes out there and experiences it for themselves. I started going on boats when I was about maybe 11 or 12. I went with my friend Gwen's dad, and I loved it. I wanted to be the one that was putting the bait on the spear and, putting it into the trap or tying the bait bags on or filling them up, or, I was so excited to try everything. And it's kind of scary when you're, it's a big ocean, you're in a little boat. So as a kid, it was just something that came naturally to me, I guess. And I've always gone back to it no matter what I've done in life. I found, in a mental health awareness type of way, the peace that I've got from doing something like this. Because, like what Larry was saying, the stuff that you see out there it's magical. You're out there on a crystal clear day, and, or you're going out to your mooring first thing in the morning, and the water's a dead mirror. You see the perfect reflection of your boat in the water, and the sun's rising behind it. It's beautiful, and it's natural. It's untouched. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's very much touched by us lobstermen, but it's just a raw, beautiful nature. And I've dealt with a lot of grief and a lot of problems on the boat. Just those times, in between doing my job, you just get to sit there and look out at the water and think. It reminds you that there's something bigger than you out there. Mm-hmm. I have problems. There's bigger problems out there than, it helps me deal with stress. We see this dark shape go from over here underneath the boat, and it comes up, and it's this big fat seal head. And he's literally closer than you and I are together right now. And he's just looking at me. And Millard's like, I have never seen a seal do that. Little tiny fish that we start catching at the very beginning of our season. Our boat will be in the water by May or something like that. Hopefully mid-May. And they start out and they're just the little, I think I've showed you a picture once, I'll bring up the picture again, but they're just little tiny suckle fishes. They just have these big cheeks, but they're so little. I always take pictures of them in my hand and stuff like that just for comparison. And throughout the season, they get bigger and bigger. And I actually have a video of the biggest one I've ever seen. I was holding it in my bare hand. I'll show you that video. And it's nice to watch. I'm watching something grow throughout the season, and then it's the cycle just keeps going. End of the season, taking up traps. That is the worst, and it's the worst in a couple of different ways. There's the fact that the season's coming to an end, and then I don't work through the winter time, so it's kind of mentally exhausting to think about. But it's also so much work because these traps, some of them have been sitting down there for a while, and they're at least, what would you say, 125? Yeah. The grapes, we call them grapes. Some of the traps come up completely just encased in them, and it adds another 30 pounds onto it. So they're just really heavy, and it's physically exerting, no matter how in shape you are, just doing that repetition. My worst injury that I had was I was in the skiff, and my boss has a crab picking center garage thing at his house, and so we take the crab shells with us in the skiff and dump them once we get out a little ways, because you can't just dump them on the landing. And I went to go pick one up, and it's the same thing I've done so many times, and I tweaked my back just enough that I felt something pop, and it instantly brought me down to my knees, and my captain grabbed the crate away from me and dumped it. But all throughout the day, I was so uncomfortable. You have to be well tuned to the people that you work with as well. My captain's just a little, he's pretty laid back. He's been doing it for 50 plus years, right in the Waldeboro River. My captain and I, we were fluid motion around each other on the boat. You know, he's standing here taking the trap up, and I'm got my bait here, and I'm going like this and going around and getting stuff because I just never can sit still. I'm always grabbing something or doing something. So it's fluid motion.
Yeah, I knew that when I met her too.
That was one of the
We clicked instantly, and it was all
that
about,
was one
all
of the
about
things
the ocean.
that drew. You know, we were both lobstermen, but from completely different scenarios. You know, I'm in the river. He's without land in sight, and him being able to come and experience my job with me. I'll hopefully get to go out with him sometime when there's a better day. But you know, we have that shared love, and that's really unique.